and welcome to the first episode of Nerd Out with Mike, the interview show where I get to nerd out with a guest. And today's guest, I'm so happy you were able to join me tonight, Adam.
Hey Mike, what's going on? It was my flight just got in, but I made it to the talk show. I'm here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, if this goes well, we'll see if we can make this a semi regular thing where we have people in the TTRPG community come on and we all know about your podcast, your games, your streams. But what we don't know about is what else you like to nerd out about. And so today we'll get right into that. But first, Adam, you're most known for being on many podcasts. And the one I know you the most for is the Isle of Misfit Rolls, a D&D
Oh.
actual play podcast, etc., etc.
hmm
So, what would you like to tell us about that? What brought it on? And when a random kind of funny best friend just came up to you and said, "Hey, do you want to do a D&D podcast with me?" What made you say yes to that?
Well, I don't know. I probably shouldn't have. It's crazy. No, it is funny, Mike, how that whole thing started, right? Where it was multiple of us. From the first group I remember, it was me, you, and Erica, who's also on the show, and we were talking about that was when we were trying to play like a West Marches. We were trying to get people to play D&D, right?
Yeah.
And somehow that turned into let's try people out to do a podcast or
Which was
like a campaign of the
secretly my
podcast.
plan from the beginning.
It was? Oh, you tricked me. I didn't know that. I was unaware. So yeah, we just all met together. We are all fans of Kind of Funny, or most everybody in the group, and that's where we got the talent from. And then we started playing D&D, and then yeah, Mike tricked us into playing on a podcast, which is awesome, and it's great. But we met even before that, because didn't I like DM your first game you ever played?
Not the first game I ever played, but the first online game I've played, and I think I had only previously DM'd. That was it. May have been the first time I've actually done with a as a player.
Okay, that's what it was. So we've known each other for a while. Thinking about it now, how long has it been just between Misfit Rolls and everything? What is it like 6 years?
No, it's got. I was gonna say 5, but it might be around 4ish. It's you know what? Time is a flat circle.
It is a flat circle. Because I remember when we started, Erica, she was so young, and that was the joke. And now she's like 30. So,
No, Erica is always 25.
yeah, forever. She'll always be that age.
Will be ever.
So, yeah, I loved it, man. I was like, yeah, let's do the podcast thing. That'll be fun. You run it because that's what you were interested in doing. I was like, all right, I'll come in here and I'll do tech stuff and I'll play. And just hundreds of hours later, here we are.
Yeah, the amount of editing you've done for this podcast is quite extensive. If anybody's, you've played, you've DM'd, you've put in a lot of work in, but you've never put in as much work as the person who does the editing.
Yeah. Especially early on. We don't do it now because everyone is like plays well off each other, so we don't really need to do it anymore. But yeah, there was a time when, phew, it was a lot. We were trying to do 1 hour episodes, um, and yeah, I remember the first week that we came out with the podcast. It was 5 episodes in that one day because we wanted like the whole first arc
Mm-hmm.
for everybody, and I edited 5 full episodes in a weekend. And I think it took me like 12 hours of like after work, just sitting down and doing it. And oh my God, it was so much. But I was fine with it. I didn't really complain, but it's much easier now because it's just like click the button on the computer, get rid of the dead space, throw it up, and it's great. So,
Slide in
but
some
early
music
on,
here and there.
yeah, throw music in where it needs to go. But yeah, early on, it was a lot. And I was like, thank God we don't do that anymore because that was, I think calculated it was like 400 hours worth of editing that I did in that first year.
Holy
Something
crap.
asinine, something insane.
Yeah, and that's when you see people like posting like, podcast editing services. You're like at first glance you're like, "Whoa, that's expensive for every done hour." Like, no, you will break it down by the hour and it's not that much. They are most of the time undercharging.
They're crazy. But now we just get to play. I actually get to focus on playing now because all the tech stuff is kind of runs itself at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fun, man. I mean, I was always having fun anyways, but actually getting to like focus more on playing compared to always worrying about tech stuff and editing this, da 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 da. And we just go and have a good time.
And who do you play on the Isle of Misfit Rolls?
I played the most interesting character, Almus, who's the wizard of the party. Who, by the way, for all you nerdy people out there, Dungeons and Dragons or Wizards of the Coast is like, hey, we're bringing back Spelljammer. And it's like, well, I was trying to do that a couple of years ago. So here we are. But no, I played the Spaceman Wizard. And then season two. So we talked about this. I don't remember when I brought this up. I was like, hey, Mike, can I play that familiar that I have? Because I was like, a lot of people do stuff in season two, like even in TV shows. It's like, oh, that guy wears leather now, or
You got to go bigger, badder. Like everything's got to be more, right?
yeah, people do more stuff. And I was like, well, I don't have a lot of mechanical or like character stuff that would be changed. A little bit, but not too much. I was like, hey, I've got this familiar that's a special. So I was like, let me voice the familiar so I can just play in a second character and just have fun with it. And that's how we got Minogue O'Leary, or Mo, as everyone knows him. He's a Quasit, and he talks in a New Zealand accent, which was not the original intended accent. I actually changed that about 3 days before we went live on season two.
All right, can we get a little bit of Mo, just for those who haven't heard
Hey, we're
your?
not going to do that. I need you to relax, calm down a little bit. Trying to hang out with Taverick and Shaq, Vienna, have a good time. I really have to think about it before I do it. I have to say a phrase because there was a show I watched and they said a certain phrase, and that's how I get into New Zealand mode.
And which
As
show was
best
that?
it's a show called Wellington Paranormal, which
Okay.
is it's a spin-off of What We Do in the Shadows. So basically, I got on a Taika Waititi kick close to season two happening. I was like, you know what? Sounds really fun being a New Zealander, and that's why I changed it. And so there's this. I mean, we'll say it now. There's a character. There's two characters in that show. The show's about like these cops in like the small New Zealand town that paranormal stuff happens, but they don't believe any of it, which it's really funny. And those characters are in the What We Do in the Shadows movie. And it's Officer Minogue and Officer O'Leary. And I was like, you know what? Throw that together. That's my character because that is the voice I'm doing. So that's where Mo came from. That his original voice was going to be Jason Statham, but I just decided to change it a couple days beforehand.
Can we get the? No.
No, can't do it
No.
anymore. I lost it. I was like, I'm Jason Statham. Like that's about as much as I can do. So that's why I decided to change it.
Well, I like the change, and Mo is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters in season two.
It's fun. Yeah, since I don't have like an emo look or whatever that some of the other cool characters get to do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'll talk to Jake eventually, but man, what a fun thing he gets to do. And I'm like, well, I'll talk like a New Zealander.
Yeah, because the first thing that popped into my head when you started talking about that, when we met Mo, was the TV show Flight of the Concords.
Same people. Yep.
Okay.
Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi, I think, wrote or directed on that show. So
Okay.
it's that group of dudes. They're all
Amazing.
those New Zealanders hang out. Yeah, they're great, fantastic.
I'll
So
have to
yeah,
check
that's
out
where I
that
got it.
other show then. If it's a, do they sing like they do in Flight of the Concords?
No, that one
Oh,
no. But the dudes, again, the guys from Flight of the Concords are in What We
yeah.
Do in the Shadows, the movie, and then Wellington Paranormal was a spin-off of that. So it's all connected in one big universe.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, you've been doing and playing D&D as long as I've known you, for anywhere from 4 to 6 years. What
100 years.
brought you into the D&D world and said, you know what? I want to roll them dice.
Oh, where did it start? I was interested in it. Um, so one of my friends, I always liked fantasy stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Like I know what D&D is, but I never played it. And then I had a friend who was like, oh, hey, there's this thing called Critical Role that everyone likes. And I watched like the first episode. I'm like, that's cool. That's too long for me to watch on YouTube, but that was really cool. And I started listening to podcasts eventually because
Mm-hmm.
I just listen to podcasts. I don't do YouTube stuff. Um, so I was like, oh, that's really cool. That seems interesting. So I had a friend. So the first game I ever played was Pathfinder. I had a friend who was like, hey, I got a Pathfinder game. It was 1E, and was like, "Oh, that was really cool. That was awesome." And then that never happened again. I think they fell out.
Oh.
But then I found my friend who initially was like, "Hey, Critical Role's a cool thing." Was like, "All right, we'll play." And I started playing with them. And then that was so whenever me and you played together,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who was DMing that was from that original group of people that I've played with.
Okay.
And then it just kept spiraling and spiraling. And then it was like, I mean, it's hard. It's very hard to get a group together and be consistent.
Oh, yeah.
It seems almost impossible, which is insane. Our group's been going for so long.
We
So
got
I was like, all
extremely
right,
lucky.
we're very lucky. So I was like, all right, this guy's DMing. Here's all these random people I brought together, probably from a Facebook post. And then I was all right, I'll start DMing because I just want to play. So I'm gonna have to do it because that's how a lot of people. It's like, yo, I guess I'll do it if we're gonna whatever. And then eventually that rolled into me and you didn't do a West Marches thing, and then moved into what Mr. Rolls is. So it all started from someone telling me that it was cool, and I was like, yeah, I like fantasy stuff. Let me try that.
Excellent. So, I've always wondered why Gith, why the fascination with being a space pirate. You know, as you had mentioned before, the whole Spelljammer things on the resurgence, and it's coming back. And what inspired the the character that is Almus?
Here's what we're gonna do, Mike. And I know everyone else in the group makes characters different than this, but I was like, all right. Mike was like, hey, we're gonna do a campaign. It's sort of Suicide Squad. Like you're gonna be bad guy ish criminal. Just don't be like irredeemable because no one wants to watch
No murder
irredeemable.
hobos.
No murder. I was like, fine. But Mike did say be evil and weird. So I was like, what is the most crazy thing I can do? But I was like, I was looking through everything. And I was like, all right. And I always do this. I'm like, hey, what do we need to fill? I was like, we've got melee, we got a range. Da, da, da. I was like, all right, we need some kind of spell person. And this is how I make characters. I know our other players are like, hey, I have a character. I have an idea for a character. And then they work backwards into like what the class is. I'm like, no, class, subclass, race, and then I make the character. That's how I do it.
So you made
Actually,
your character wrong then, you're saying.
I did it the right way. I did it the correct way. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to play some kind of spellcaster. I already played a warlock before. I've always every time I make a new character, I try to play something new, just because I want to play every class available. So like, all right, wizard sounds cool. Was going through them all, and divination really caught me just because I like the idea of portents and like, oh, so he's like a guy that like controls people's fates or roles, whatever. But I'm like, I like the idea of like, okay, I can kind of like control what other people do in any situation, even though it's not like overpowered. It's actually pretty limited, Mike, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
But that sounds cool. And then I was like, all right, what races have intelligence bonuses? And we were going through. I went through everything, and there's like it's like hobgoblin, gnome, and then there was the Gith was there, and I was like, you know what? This weird Voldemort looking dude. I mean, we're playing. I was like, that's great. I honestly, it's because so in Misfit Rolls, none of us knew who we were playing before we met that first day. I mean,
Hmm.
you knew, but we didn't know. I almost was also going to be a hobgoblin, just like
Oh,
Jake ended up being, because
that
of
would have been
it had that
interesting.
bonus. And I was like, because I wanted to play a monster, because we're like we're evil, whatever. We're looked at weird.
A
I don't
lot of
want to be a
games they say
human.
for one of the first rules, no monster races. I'm like, no, that's what I want you to play.
Yeah, I don't want to be a human. I make fun of Erica for it all the time. So I was like, well, here's a couple options, but I'm like, so I was like, all right, here's my options: hobgoblin, and Gith. I was like, I don't want to do gnome. So I looked at those two, and I was reading, and I did like the research. Like I had the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. I read through all that stuff for both of them. I was like, these Gith are awesome. First of all, it looks like Voldemort. We're already halfway there, and then just coming from the having the whole astral plane, like coming from a different plane of existence, basically being space pirates that don't age. I was like, man, that's too cool to not do. I'm like, when else would this ever make sense to play this kind of character?
Hmm.
I was like, awesome. And then I started making who Almas is from there. But I was just like, I want to be a wizard. What gets me +1 intelligence? Oh, these dudes are awesome. And that's where Almas came from.
It definitely caught me as your DM quite off guard because Astral Plane was not going to be a thing.
Yeah.
But with all of my players, I want you to put as much into your character as much. And if you put it in, if you've taken the effort to make that into as part of your character, you better believe I'm going to put it into your game and make it a thing.
Oh yeah, you're very good at being like, "Hey, what's your backstory? Let me just put that all over the place." So we've got stuff with almost, but like I did like all the research. I sent actually I need to double check. I think I might have accidentally deleted that Google Doc, but I have a whole Google Doc. Like, Mike, here's what it is. Here's how this works. Here's
Yeah,
names. Here's this, and this is how this could work. And I think this would be cool. And I
yeah, I
was
think
like,
we'll be
all right,
seeing a lot more of Almas taking center stage in season 2.
yeah. I think both of the monster races will probably, or both monster characters will be doing that
Yeah,
if I had to guess. So yeah, I love it, and now I love Gith. When they put out Baldur's Gate 3 and they're like, "There's a Gith in this game," I'm like, okay, I must have started something because all of a sudden Gith are all over the place, and I'm not mad about it.
that trailer video riding the dragon there was, oh my god.
Man, they're so cool. And again, I just happened to look. I'm like, what has a +1 intelligence minimum? I was like, these guys are awesome. So yeah, I love that that race now.
And the fact
Just
that
because
they're
I'm
like their mortal enemy is mind flayers, like it just gives you the whoever your DM is at the time when you're playing a gift gives us just so much ammunition because mind flayers are fucking cool.
yeah, mind flayers are awesome. Astral plane. I mean, again, Spelljammer is about to be a big thing. They're bringing that back, but I'm like, yo, like there's literal ships that go in space, and we can fly a ship in space and like go to different. I'm like, oh man, there's cool things here if we want to use it. If not, I'm just a dude who can control your fate, and you feel bad because he makes you keep rolling ones. There's nothing you can do about it. But I was like, I like everything that could happen. And then again, getting playing evil wizard didn't intend to be like Voldemort. But now that I see it, again, Mike, when I do stuff, I don't pay attention, right? You never notice this. Stuff will happen and like it doesn't process in my brain. But I'm like, oh yeah, there's Gith. I'm gonna play a wizard. They don't have like noses. It's basically just like a skeleton thing. And I was like, but I'm playing wizard. We're playing these evil characters. I'm like, 4 or 5 sessions in, I'm like, oh, that's right. Voldemort doesn't have a nose and he's an evil wizard. Whatever. I'm not gonna fight these children. It's all good.
And then yeah, yeah,
I'm
you
not
guys
gonna
never
lose to
fight
any
any
children.
children.
I'm not gonna lose to a child. Let me tell you that.
So you've DM'd, you've played. Which of the scale do you find yourself preferred to be on?
I prefer playing 100%. So the DMing is cool to DM because you have all the cards, like what can go on, and you can change stuff on the fly, and that is cool. But I like solving the issue instead of making up the issue,
Mm-hmm.
or like the problem or the thing going on. I enjoy doing both. Maybe it's our group. I think I like playing with our group specifically, which is why I enjoy playing because I get to play with the group of people that I like to play with.
Mm-hmm.
DMing is cool, but just being like, hey, let's do this, make this thing up, and it's fun. But I'm like, I enjoy role playing and getting to be a part of that, and just focusing on one person. I it, that's just what I enjoy. I don't have anything against DMing. I did it for a while, but
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think
you
I
did a
would
great job.
prefer. Thank you very much. I tried my best. It was the first time I was trying hard. But yeah, I love this group. I guess what I'll say. Oh, I like every group that I played with recently. Like we did that one shot for the Strahd one shot was really cool. So I just prefer playing because I can be silly, not
Yeah,
have to worry so
I get you.
much.
That group was a
That's
lot
what.
of fun as well, and you know, I definitely plan on trying to get pretty much, if not all that full group back for another one shot eventually, at least parts of it.
Mhm.
And you better believe I'll be reaching out to all of them to hopefully get them on this show.
Oh, very
See
nice.
what Beyond D&D what they're into. And speaking of groups you've played with and players you enjoy playing with, your murder bro, he has sent in a question for you.
Ah,
He's talking about asking about, yeah, you're on a D&D podcast, but you've also done a lot of video game podcasts as well. What is it about podcasting that just pulls you into it?
oh, I have no idea. I think I waste my time. I think is what it is. I don't know. I've done so the first podcast I ever did, which is actually you can't even find it anymore because I stopped paying the hosting site and it is gone. But I started that back in oh my god, this might have been the 7 or 8 years ago when I did my first one ever. And podcasting was getting big at this time. It was like, oh, Kevin Smith was basically only making money doing that, and podcast was becoming like a bigger thing. I was like, this will be cool, and did that. That first one, like, oh, this was awesome, and that ended eventually, and was like, but that was still fun to do. And then I just started doing. Basically, I get like an itch. I'm like, oh, this is a cool thing I want to do, and then I just do them. So I've done. I couldn't even tell you. Probably 7, 8. I don't know. I've done a couple, quite a lot, too many. But I just enjoy like let's do research. Let's sit down. I mean, it's just like this. Like I like
Mm-hmm.
to focus on a thing and have fun with it. It's like I might as well do something with it and creative. It's much better than trying to do YouTube videos because I don't have the patience or the time to edit YouTube videos. So I will just talk into a microphone and then throw it out there. So that is, yeah. If I'm gonna do something creative, that's my preference. Is you just talk about it because it's the easiest way to do it, but you can also have the most fun.
Yeah, and you've done and are currently doing many video game podcasts, which will bring us on to our second topic of the day, video games. Because I know
Yes.
you are an avid gamer and you've been gaming, what, your whole life?
Since when did Pokemon come out? 1998,
Were
whatever
you
that
red or
was.
blue?
I was yellow.
Yellow. Oh, you Pikachu.
Yeah, man, that was the best game. You got all the starters, I think, right? Wasn't that the thing? You got Pikachu followed you, and you got all the 3 starters.
I thought you just got
I
to
think.
pick. They just brought the other option in of Pikachu as your. No, you didn't even get the pick. I think it was just automatically Pikachu. It was the
You get
Pikachu
Pikachu.
edition.
And well, I don't want to double check, but yeah, Pikachu follows you, but I feel like you get all the. But maybe there's so many freaking Pokemon games. I don't remember. But yes, I had Yellow, just because that was the new game at the time that I started caring
Hmm.
about playing a video games. Because I had like an NES and a Game Boy and all that, but I didn't care until Pokemon. Then I was like, this is cool. And then from there, it's been pretty steady ever since that point. That was the one that got me on though.
There's nothing like when you're just walking by somebody, they stop you and they say, "Hey, nice shorts," and
I have
then
3 Weedles. Fight me. I'm like, oh my god, you're wasting my time, kid. But yeah, no,
you'll never defeat
Pokemon's
my
such
Metapods. Harden.
yeah, awful. Yeah, I didn't even know anything about. I know real Pokemon nerds are like the meta and shiny. I'm like, man, I was just like flamethrower, kick it. Let's move on to the next one. I had a great time, but yeah, that's where it started, and then I literally haven't stopped since then. So
And what is your favorite franchise? You started in the Pokemon world,
hmm
and what is the go-to when you think of video games? You think of like if I want to sit down and play one thing, what is your chicken soup? What franchise?
this is so hard because I am definitely people say like I play everything, but I legitimately play like all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard because I mean you were talking about playing Assassin's Creed. I was like, oh, which a game I've beaten every single game in the franchise and know all that history and all that stuff. So I just started playing that again. But then I also just beat Mass Effect 2 because I wanted to.
Great
And
series.
then I just started playing Elden Ring because that was a new like I literally just play all the stuff. So I don't know what my favorite franchise is. There's things that I'm once I'm into a franchise, I'm into it. So again, basically every Bioware game that'll come out, a lot of the Ubisoft stuff, um, exclusive. It's so much. It basically the shorter list would be like, what do you not like? I think that's the smaller list of what it would be.
Which brings us on to another viewer question from Robbie Bobby Miller.
Oh my boy.
Why is the Last of Us 2 a solid 5 out of 10?
Bobby hated The Last of Us too, and that was always a joke on E.C.G. We were doing Game of the Year stuff, and he was like, he got so mad because it tied for Game of the Year, and he was so mad because he thought that game. He used to say 6 out of 10, so he actually brought it down a little bit. I don't know what Bobby's going through, but he did not enjoy Last of Us 2, and his reasons actually make sense. I was like, no, I get what you're saying.
Is he afraid of
People are
strong
going to be
girls?
yeah, no, there's different reasons. His reasons he didn't like the game were like legitimate criticisms that people had, but I was like, those people had those criticisms, but still said it was like a 9 out of 10. Bobby's like, no, it's a 6, dude. I'm like, hey, it's your opinion. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, Bobby not a fan of Last of Us 2. I still haven't played that one yet, actually, so I can't speak on it.
Either
I
can I.
suppose. Yeah, no, I didn't have a PS4. That I didn't have a PS4 for like a year and a half. Like at the end of the before the new ones came out,
Yep.
I was like, well, I'll get the money and I'll just buy a PS5 when it comes out. Which I have a PS5. I just have not played Last of Us 2 yet. So we'll get there eventually.
And his follow-up question is, if you could be any video game character, who would it be?
If I could be a video game character, I got to find one that's cheese, like somebody who's just like it doesn't make any sense. I was gonna say Kirby, but you have to look like Kirby. Just because you take people's powers doesn't mean you change what you look like. So I would be. Uh, does it have to be video games only? Because I'm like I'd be Spider Man. That'd
Yeah,
be
we can
great.
expand it. Say he's a video game character.
Yeah, I would just want to be somebody. If this is the world we live in, just give me like all the powers. I want all the powers. I want to be OP. I want to be BS. That's fine.
Now, if you had to choose a mundane superpower, like we're not talking super strike, not flight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you my example of what I would choose as my like mundane superpower.
Okay,
Anytime I looked at somebody with headphones on, I knew what they were listening to.
that's an interesting one.
No real world
Um,
situation where this has actually helped me,
not
but
really. Yeah. What would be a good one that's mundane? I would say, being able to like sense irritable people and avoid them.
knowing
Like I
when
can't
someone's in a
change
bad
their
mood.
irritability. Yeah, I just like I guess an empath sort of, but not or like I can actually do anything with those emotions. I only notice irritability
You want to do an
and like
Aviana darkness check?
Yeah, I'm like,
Vibe
"Hey, who
check.
feels bad? All right, this person is having a bad day. All right, I won't talk to them." Like, that's the most. Yeah, it can't be anything actually useful. It's like, okay, you avoided talking to someone who might have I mean, I live in the South. They probably would have faked being nice, but whatever, that's the way to go.
All right, swinging back onto video games. What would you consider your greatest video game achievement?
Hmm.
Like,
Greatest video game
you look
achievement.
back and you're like, you know what? I fucking did that.
Man, I would probably say all my wins in battle royale games because I'm so good at shooters. I'm getting old. I'm starting to slow up. I don't know, probably like 100%ing like really, really big open world games would probably be one. I don't have a ton of platinums just because I've never cared about like getting all the achievements,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes just like doing everything gets you that. Sometimes it doesn't.
Achievement Hunter, Platinum Prince.
I've got them. I just don't pay. I honestly do not care about them at all. But yeah, I mean, I was really, really good at PUBG when it came out, and that was a good time. But yeah, I think probably like 100%ing Assassin's Creed Odyssey was pretty impressive
Gee, I'm
because
currently playing that right now.
it's a lot.
It's
All the DLC as well.
Jesus. Like I get Witcher vibes where like everywhere you look,
Hmm.
there's a quest. There's a something to do. There's an Agora market you got to steal the treasure for. Kill a couple captains and
Yeah, it's a lot. Or probably doing like a really hard song on like Guitar Hero. I mean, no one cares anymore. But back then, it was like, oh, Dragon Force on hard, you're good.
mm-hmm.
You're good.
You're
So
no,
hey,
you're not good. You're godly at that point.
you're perfect with this plastic instrument. So yeah, either
Exactly.
100%ing a giant open world game or being good at plastic music. One of the two.
Okay. What would you if you were given a studio?
Mm.
Phil Spencer came down and said, "Hey, Adam, we're going to green light your game.
Hmm.
What are you green lighting?"
Oh, what do I want to do? I would just be silly. Give me a so the kind of game would be XCOM style, so strategy. What is that called? Tactical strategy? What are those
Something along
called?
those lines. Because I know you're a huge XCOM fan. I'm surprised that didn't come
Oh,
up when your favorite franchises.
yeah, you're right. XCOM 2 is one of the best video games ever made. There's a lot of good games out there though. So I want an XCOM style game. So you get your characters, you get a grid, you move them around, they have powers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess it's sort of cheating. But like Baldur's Gate 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. But
Mm-hmm.
make it a tactical RPG like XCOM and just make it Misfit Rules because why not? Phil's giving
Hey,
me the money. I don't care.
might
make
as
it
well pimp
make
your
it,
shit,
Phil.
right?
Right as well, right? I mean, I get an awesome XCOM game
Mm-hmm.
and it's Misfit Rolls. I just would think that would be cool to see someone. So I love it. We've got a couple like fan art
Mm-hmm.
or I think it was like Jake's buddy who who drew almost into ever being like Murder Bros or something. I just love stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it'd be fun to be like, hey, someone interpret this
Mm-hmm.
and have fun with it. And I would like to see that. Since I'm just making it up and it doesn't have to make money and actually be like a thing that
It's going
people
on Game Pass. It's good.
it's going on Game Pass, it's fine. So but yeah, definitely an XCOM style game because those are the best. And then just throw I would have said like a Marvel one, but they're literally making a Marvel XCOM game.
That leads me to my next question. How excited are you for Midnight Suns?
10 out of 10. The minute they were like, oh, from the people who made XCOM, I was like, I don't care what the rest of the sentence is. It's gonna be good. And then they were like, oh, Marvel. I'm like, cool. Oh, and Midnight Suns. Oh, so you're doing weird, like dark Marvel stuff. Even better.
So excited for that.
Oh, I'm so ready for that to come out. I've hit them up. I normally don't hit people up about video game codes, but so I saw some dude on Twitter who's like, I'm PR for the company. So if people want to sign up for this list immediately, I was like, I don't know if I'll get it, but like, dude, I will review your game all day. I will pay for it as long as I get it early. I don't care. I just want to play that game so
And that's
bad.
when you start saying, I'm on this podcast. I'm on this podcast. I'm on this
Absolutely.
podcast.
I was like, this podcast, this many listeners, this many Twitter followers, I just all these throwing numbers at this dude just to convince him to give me a code of that
Yeah.
video game that's not coming out for 6 months.
What do I need to do
Yeah,
to get
anything. I
this?
need it. Yeah, I'm very excited.
You ready?
Sure,
We're going to come at you with some rapid fire questions now.
we could try.
We're going to do more than try, my friend. Let's start off with a few easy ones. And then first thing that pops in your head, don't overthink it. If there's
Okay.
any of them you want to go back to and elaborate on further, we'll do that at the end.
Okay.
You ready? Most of
I'll
them
try to
are either
remember.
ors.
Okay.
Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox.
Favorite animal?
Oh God, what is my favorite? I don't really like animals. I don't know, like a small lizard, gecko or something.
Favorite
Cool.
color?
Purple.
Last book you read?
Oh boy. What was I reading in high school? No, I haven't read audiobooks and stuff, but I haven't
Audiobooks will
like
count. I count audiobooks
audio.
as reading because I'm a very avid in audiobooks.
Okay. No, actually, I did. Me and my son went to the library, and I got one of the Witcher books. I was going to read through the. I have it. I haven't started it yet, but that is the next thing that I will be reading.
Blood of
Is Witcher
Elves or
book.
something like that?
I don't remember which one I got. They were all there. I think I just got the first one, whatever the first one is.
Up or down?
Down.
Left or right?
Right.
Favorite movie?
Oh my God. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, this movie is perfect, but I can't think of what it is anymore. I'm very sorry, Mike. I'll have to come back to you. Um, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite movie is.
If you were on death row, what would your
Oh,
last meal be?
we'll just say Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is a perfect movie. I don't know if it's my favorite movie, but it is a perfect movie. But go ahead. Death Row. What about it?
If you were on death row, what would your last meal be?
Oh my God, something high in cholesterol. Probably just a giant seafood platter, like lobster tails, king crab. Just we're gonna be ridiculous because I'm about to die, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, all the ridiculous seafood that would kill you normally.
Now, fun fact, interrupting my own, try to be quick, rapid fire.
Mhm.
Lobster was the original like prison food,
Yeah, I
which
know.
is
Like
mind blowing.
in the Great Depression, it's like, oh, you're poor and your family needs to eat. Go get a lobster, and now it's like it's $50 a tail. It's like, what is going on? But I like it's really good. I like the taste of seafood. So,
No, it's a butter vessel, right?
yeah, all I can eat now is grilled chicken and salad. So it is what it is.
Sounds horrible.
I think it's fine.
Coke or Pepsi?
Okay. Here's what I'll say. Everyone knows Coke is better than Pepsi, but there used to be vanilla Pepsi. There's not vanilla Pepsi anymore unless you go to like a weird machine and get it. Vanilla Pepsi was better than vanilla Coke. 100%, hands down. Much
Okay.
better. So the answer is Coke over Pepsi, but if we're talking a variant, vanilla Pepsi was better than vanilla Coke.
Okay. Fantasy or sci-fi?
Oh, fantasy. Yeah, I was gonna say I like sci-fi, but I do much more fantasy stuff than sci-fi, so I can't even lie.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Manning or Brady?
Manning. Don't even ask that question. That'll be silly.
Yeah, I figured I had to throw that in there.
Yeah.
What are you wearing there?
Colts hoodie. Indianapolis Colts, the football team that Peyton Manning played for.
Salty or sweet?
Mmm. Salty.
Your best subject in school?
Oh, science without a doubt.
Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Do aliens exist?
Absolutely.
Best streaming service, if you had to have one.
Disney Plus. Ooh, it's Disney Plus or HBO Max. Disney Plus because they have more 4K Dolby Vision content.
Most underrated TV show?
Oh, most underrated TV show. What's a TV show that I don't really like? What is the thing? King of the Hill. King of the Hill.
Celebrity crush?
Celebrity crush. Taika Waititi. No, I do like him a lot, but not a crush in that way. Oh, we could say man crush. That's fine. Sure.
Yeah.
I love everything that man does. He's great.
Does D&D need more smooching?
Absolutely. It always needs more smooching, especially when you make your DM do it with somebody that they're not comfortable with. That's the best part.
Yeah. Yay. That brings us on to topic number 3.
I got a question though
Shoot.
about those rapid fires. Is there
Yep.
anyone you want me to elaborate on? Because there were so many, and I can't remember now. Was there anything that I paused or that you want to know more about my answer about? Because I feel like there's things I could expound upon.
What is your favorite salty snack?
Oh, so what I said salty because I like dark chocolate more than milk chocolate. Like I started to enjoy bitter things now.
Mm-hmm. But that's bitter, not
So
salty.
yeah, I know that's what I was saying because you're like salty. So I'm like, no, actually, I don't like sweet anymore. So
You
I
know you're
actually,
getting old when.
yeah, exactly. I can still eat it, but I prefer bitter stuff. So I have these dark chocolate sea salt caramels, which
Ooh.
I can only eat about one a day just because of the way I'm trying to eat. But oh boy, that sea salt and that dark chocolate, oh my god, it is fantastic. It's great. I do love everything salted caramel. I mean, I don't eat a lot of it now, but it is very good.
Salted caramel, yeah, it's
Yep.
that should have been the other question. Caramel or caramel?
What's the one that Shaq said in the commercial? Because I go with Shaq. I don't remember what he said
Shaq's
anymore.
never wrong.
Caramel.
um, okay, you gave us the perfect movie, but you didn't give us your favorite movie.
I still don't know. I watch. Honestly, I don't know if I have a favorite of that because I just watched some. My problem is it's not a problem. I just like a lot of stuff. People were like, "It was okay." I'm like, "Yeah, "It's fine. I actually enjoyed it. I had a good time." I go into it like expecting what it is. So I don't know if I have a favorite movie because honestly, I just enjoy so much stuff. It's
Hmm.
hard
I
because I'm just like,
understand.
"Oh, I like all of this.
I
It's
don't think I
so
have a
fun."
favorite either. And
Yeah.
yeah, when it comes to movie, I find with any new media or any new content that comes out, everyone's you either have to love it or hate it. You have to be an extreme. At the end of no matter what movie I see or what I watch, I ask myself at the end, was I entertained?
Yes.
And if you were
That's my
entertained,
thing. If it
well,
was fun. My
that's all
only
you need.
The things that so I like again, if a movie is good, I'm like, "Oh, that was awesome." If a movie was bad, you can definitely be like bad, good, or whatever. It's like that movie was awful, but it was fun, and it being bad is part of it being enjoyable. And then you get it's very few movies that do this, but they're right in the middle for me. And I hate those movies because they don't make me feel anything. And one of those movies is the first Suicide Squad movie. We make fun of it on the podcast because we're doing a Suicide Squad style campaign.
Mm-hmm.
But that first movie, I was like, I like Margot Robbie. I like Will Smith. I like all the actors. The story and the antagonists are awful. This is a 5 out of 10, and I feel nothing, and I hate it because I don't. If it was bad and like corny,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have a good time. But it was just like, oh, good performances and actors I like, but I just really don't care about anything that's happening, and I just like I don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's not no. Make me feel something,
Yeah.
even if it's
Good or bad.
laughter. Yeah, it's gotta be something. So I was like, that was the most 5 out of 10 thing I've ever seen in my life, and it's super bad because of that. I need to feel something. So
Do you
yeah.
find there's the last few like movies that have come out that are like, the super cast, like it's just star after star after star, but doesn't matter how good the actors are or how big the names are, they've been real shitty movies that like
What's
it
your
seems
examples?
Death on the
Can
Nile.
I haven't watched it yet. I was excited to watch it because I really liked the first one.
Okay, if you like
The
it's more of the first one. I didn't like the first one.
Oh, I love the first one.
It's like
Yeah.
something's gonna happen. It's so slow, and you're like, this is slow. It's gonna pay off though. This fucking ending's gonna be a banger,
Mhm. Didn't
and then
like
you
it.
just get a limp noodle.
The ending of that first movie, I was like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming." I really did enjoy that, but I was, I was watching that at 11 o'clock on a Thursday. It was a great time. Uh But yeah, I know what you're saying. If it didn't pay off for you, I get that. Especially when you have all those actors. You're like, it's gotta be good. Everyone's here.
So, something that's rare, I find, in the TTRPG community and in nerd culture generally. Like, growing up, was a nerd and
Mhm.
into all the things fantasy, but I was also a rabid sports fan. Got my Blue Jays hat.
Mm.
I love all my Toronto sports teams.
Yeah.
They don't seem to mesh very often. It seems to be becoming more of a thing with analytics and stuff in sports. I know you're a big football fan. You got your
Mhm.
Colts. I have never been able to get into NFL football. Sell me on an NFL team.
Oh boy, that's hard. Here's the thing, is that NFL football is good, but it's also like a local thing, right? So for you to like base here's the question. Well, you like is it just baseball and hockey is what you like is the question.
Baseball, hockey, basketball. I'll watch golf. I love curling.
Mhm.
I'll
So it's
watch
just
any
everything but American
sports.
football.
But like you said, it's a local thing.
Yeah.
Toronto is a world class city. We do not have an NFL team.
No.
And by
The closest
proximity,
thing
it's Buffalo.
Oh, it's Buffalo. I was about to say either it's the Lions or the Buffalo, and the Lions are not a fun team to watch. So I'd
And the
understand why you
Bills are a
want.
good team now. And I do enjoy good
Yeah.
defense. And they have a great defense. But in all my other sports, Buffalo has been a Toronto rival.
Gotcha.
I
So you're
rather
not supposed
not
to.
watch football than cheer for a Buffalo team.
and cheer for a Buffalo team. Yeah, and again, the next closest team in proximity are the Lions, which is not even worth. Even people who are Lions fans don't want to be Lions fans. So you can't do it. Yeah, it is. Football is great, but it also feels very much like you had to grow up in America to be like really into it.
Hmm.
Even like if you like me, I like sports too, but I don't like baseball because we didn't grow up around baseball. So I grew up in Indiana, of course, which is a huge basketball place. Everyone there loves basketball.
Hmm.
Colts are a great team. Notre Dame is a classic college football team. Um, there are baseball teams there, but it's like nobody there really cares about baseball. It's like either, I mean, it mostly was like, hey, play basketball or watch Peyton Manning be the best ever.
Nick Brady.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I
He's the
won't even
goat.
argue with you. He is great. He's the best. Yeah. So for me, like I enjoy going to a baseball game because I think it's fun to go, but I don't enjoy baseball because like MLB The Show. Me and you both have Game Pass.
Yep.
It's on there. I played it last year. I was like, this is a good video game. I
The
just don't care
best.
about baseball. I just don't care about baseball. And it's just because I didn't grow up around baseball and not in a place that had baseball. And I think the closest team it had been one of the Chicago teams, or it would have been uh I guess St. Louis. No, technically the Cincinnati Reds would be the closest team,
Hmm.
which are like that team is like always almost making the playoffs and
You
then
got
loses
Joey
in the last.
Votto. What more do you need? He's out there doing Harry Potter dances on fucking TikTok now. He's moving and shaking.
I mean, that's cool.
No.
My that's not cool. My also problem with baseball is too many games. That's a lot of games.
162 or 162, I believe.
Yeah,
It's too
that's the
many
thing about
every night.
so nerd stuff in sports is because I love fantasy football, which is great. Again,
Hmm.
it's basically nerds. It's analytics and you literally just have your team
With
full of
gambling.
wizard men. They give you yeah. And I tried doing fantasy basketball, and even that was too much. And I can't imagine fantasy baseball. So it's like here's a side thing that can get you more interest because 100% fantasy sports can make you more interested
Oh
in a
yeah.
real sport because you're watching teams you don't care about. It's like, well, I got a player on that team, so I got to
Hmm.
see if he does good. But I can't do that with baseball and even basketball. That's a little much. So I'm like, football's like once a week, sit down on Sunday and watch NFL. Sit down on Saturday if you really want to watch college. And it feels a lot more like do it when you feel like it compared to like,
Hmm.
oh, there's a game every single day, which is a lot.
And if you want high school's Friday night, right?
Friday nights, yep, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. But it's the level you care about because high school football around here sucks. I don't live in Texas. We are not good at football here. So I don't have to worry about that as much.
Okay. The other semi sport slash entertainment I want try you to sell me on because I know you're a
Hmm.
wrestling fan.
Oh yeah.
I grew up a huge wrestling fan. And I grew up in the Attitude Era when it was WWF versus WCW. You
Yeah.
know, you had the NWO. It was a magical time. I see you and Jake posting, talking about it. A lot of people who are probably going to listen to this, watch this, used to be wrestling fans.
Hmm.
Bring us back.
So here's the thing that you'd have to Jake would probably be more knowledgeable because he watches. So there's two now. There's actually competition because WWE basically owned everybody. So like even there was WCW
They got
at a certain
purchased.
point, they got purchased and it didn't matter actually. Vince McMahon just got rid of the competition, kind of like EA with their football sports games and such. The sport, yeah, Jerica gets it. The sport, but now there's two companies in wrestling. So Jake knows more about AEW. He watches that more. For me, so the reason that WWE was cool then is because we were teenage boys and they were literally being rebellious teenage boys, right? Remember DX and Triple H and Shawn Michaels, the crotch shot. They were literally rebellious teenage boys, and all of us teenage boys loved it. It
Yeah.
was great.
How many times did your teacher turn around? Turned your chair and, you know,
Crotch chop. It's
crotch chop, told him
fantastic.
to suck it, and then you got sent to the office.
It was, but again, they were playing to that audience, which is fine. I mean, we were kids, we loved it. It was great. It was like Stone Cold was like, oh man, he cusses at his boss and drinks beer. Like, there's nothing cooler. I mean,
Then
honestly,
give
there's
him a
nothing
stunner.
cooler than giving people stunner. It was great. Now they don't. Again, maybe they do it more in AEW. I'm not entirely sure, but for me, it's more like the people and the performances. So like, you heard us, Erica. When you watch it now, it's thinking of like, okay, remember like what a like watch like a 90s action movie, right?
Hmm.
And then watch like It Man. or IP Man. I think it's It Man or whatever, or watch The Raid. And it's like, oh, like, yeah, you had nostalgia for that 90s stuff, but it was like, all right, they shot guns and there was an explosion and Schwarzenegger said like a one liner. And it was like, it was cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you watch like the cinematography and like the way the action flows in The Raid, and you're like, oh, this that old stuff has nothing on this, even though that old stuff probably has more reverence because people have nostalgia. That's what wrestling is. We're like these individual dudes and women are doing like the way that they do the wrestle is fantastic. Oh, it's there. People didn't wrestle like this. I don't think they physically could do
No.
it back then.
It was more
Um,
of a. I used to always refer to wrestling when I was a kid as the male soap opera.
yeah, it was male soap opera, and now you still do that a little bit, but it's like, oh, it's a male soap opera, but we have the cinematography of like Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's insane what these guys are doing, and just on the regular basis.
Do they still have
So
the gimmicks though?
yeah, they're still gimmicks.
Like with the
They're
Undertaker,
still
he was like literally undead. Kane
yeah.
was like crawled back from hellfire and brimstone.
Hmm.
You know, like you
They're
had the
still gimmicks.
Paul. It
But
just looked like it turned into Speedo Man versus Speedo Man 2.
yeah, no, 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 no. There's definitely there. The people are characters, and the people have personality. It's not so much like we're gonna do a soap opera segment for 20 minutes every episode, where it's like, oh, we're going to this man's house and throwing him out of his second story window. It's like that happens once in a while, but it's not every time. Now it's like, oh, they come out, they're cool, they talk like real smack. They're especially with Twitter, because you're like, oh, I just know what this guy is like, and he's a cool guy. And then they do the wrestle better than they used to do the wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's the thing. If you enjoy watching people like be very, very athletic and good at a thing, it's there. And if you want to engage in the over the top story, that stuff is also there too. But I'm just like, yo, let me watch this dude literally like do like 7 spins in a row and then land on a dude, which is like nobody would do that in the 90s. Point blank period. They would not have done that. So that's just me. That's just I enjoy that kind of stuff.
The shooting star press was like, oh my god, he did a backflip off the top rope.
DDT used to be a finishing move, and now it's like, oh, just do that to give yourself a 5-second break. Like that's it's not a thing anymore. It's insane, but yes, Erica, they do the wrestle.
The last wrestling question: if you were a wrestler, what would your gimmick be, and what would your finisher be?
Oh, if well, assuming I was athletic enough to do it, because I have no idea what it
You're
requires.
eating the chicken and the salad. What more do you
I
need?
mean, getting there. The gimmick, I would absolutely want to be a heel, uh, because I think that's more fun. I feel like that's way more fun to just like be a jerk and just like make people upset, especially because you got to remember the audience for wrestling is still like kids and teenagers and then grown men who grew up with it. But
Who are
just
still on the
picking with,
are kids and teenagers on the inside?
yeah, exactly. So I just want being the bad guy is great because you just be like, hey, your city sucks, and then the kids they get personally upset. Like this man said, my city sucks. I hate this man. I just think it would be so fun. So my gimmick would I don't know. It'd be I'm a dude who I don't know. I would make it up. I would have to be more creative than I am at the moment, but I would just like be the mean man. I'm like, hey, you suck. You're not as good as me. I'm better than you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if I ever lose, it's not my fault. You know, that kind of that classic heel thing, and have a great time with it. Um, and then yeah, finisher. It would have to be like so I've been playing WWE 2K22, and there's you jump into the ring like you're on the outside ropes. You jump over the third rope, bounce off the second rope, and do a backwards shooting star press into a pin. I could never do that in real life, but it looks really cool in the game. So we'll go ahead and say that. Just something ridiculous.
Like a springboard backflip pin?
Yeah, it's like a springboard moonsault pin.
Okay.
I
Yep.
forgot. I
Yep.
forgot what
Yep.
it's called. Something like that. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, Erica.
I lied. Last. How cool is Samoa Joe?
Oh my god, I love Samoa Joe. That's my boy. Oh man, he's so great. He's fantastic.
I did not realize how cool he was till I saw him on Kind of Funny there, and I was like, holy shit, this man is awesome.
That's the thing. It's like, hey, this giant wrestle man is also like just a real person. So he's like, oh yeah, I've been a nerd for 30 years,
And he's
but
like,
I
yeah,
also
sure
am a
you
big
are.
scary wrestle man. Yeah, it's great. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, I was there for Sega Genesis. I was there day one, and it's like, but I'm also the big scary wrestle man too. So that whole thing is great too. Like they literally play D. Like they're
I was
honestly
gonna
they're
say,
nerds.
who's the D&D wrestler in AEW who literally throws D4s down in the ring and then
Oh
like
god,
power
I
slams
remember.
somebody on it?
I remember, yeah, that guy started out fighting MJF at the beginning. I can't remember his name, but I mean, like Xavier Woods, which is also does stuff that's kind of funny.
Yep,
That dude's a big nerd, and he's a big, strong wrestle man who's just video games and D&D. It's awesome.
that is. All right, we're gonna do a quick slide into comic book slash superhero movies and whatnot. Right, we're just to bring us in that holy trinity of nerd culture these days. Everyone, okay. First of all, best superhero.
Oh man, I will say that's tough. DC or Marvel?
Marvel. Is that even a question?
My favorite, I'll say, my favorite is Doctor Strange. Uh,
Really?
I love now. If we're gonna talk, okay, if we talk MC, that's just like as a character, like the
Okay.
idea of like I'm the one dude who does all of the magic stuff. I kind of like Constantine in DC for that things too. But MCU, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. Let's get it. Chadwick was the boy.
Speaking of that, what do you think is going to happen for Black Panther 2?
Oh, I have no idea. They're definitely gonna mention it, and it's gonna be probably about finding a new Black Panther. I don't know,
And
but I
then
think
it
they'll.
sounded like his sister was going to be like in the shit, like in movie sister, but it sounds like there's been complications with her vaccine status, and she will not be taking part in Black Panther 2.
Yeah, it's like she is and she's not. She's being in trouble. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So I'm
But
curious to see how that all plays out because, like you said, great movie.
yeah, that movie is great. And it's cool also to see just, black people are cool. So that's awesome to see black superheroes. So that is awesome. A DC though? Ooh. I'm just gonna have to be basic and say no, I'm not gonna say Batman. Well, first, Batman is dope as hell. There's no one who can argue that say Batman isn't awesome. But I'll say Red Hood because my boy Red Hood be out here putting people in the ground and it's great. I love it.
What superhero needs their own HBO or Disney show?
Well, Peacemaker already had the perfect TV show, so
So
we're already
I haven't
there.
seen it. I
Oh
really
my
got to
god,
get on
it
that.
is. It is. There was no way I expected it to be that good because I saw the trailer. Like, all right, I like John Cena in the movie. It was fun. It was cool. And then that TV show is basically perfect. It is insane how good Peacemaker. And I don't want to overhype it, but I was like winning with no expectations. Like the trailer looked fine. John Cena's funny. It looks like it'll be. I love James Gunn. It'll be a good time. And I was like, man, that show's good. That show's good. It's real good. Um. So yeah, Peacemaker. There we go. We already got it. I
Peacemaker
like
got no.
creative
I need a new character
new character.
who
Um.
does not have a show.
This is rumored to come. Oh, that's too weird. I was gonna say Werewolf by Night, but he's coming out. And I only know him because of Moon Knight, so I'm not gonna pretend like I knew who Werewolf by Night was. Um, it's so hard because all the good ones already got it. You know what? Give me more Ant Man. I know we got Ant Man movies. Give me an Ant Man show. Just more Paul
Okay,
Rudd. I'll be honest with you. Just more Paul Rudd. I'll be happy.
the Ageless Wonder.
Yeah, just give me 8 episodes of Paul Rudd running around with the girl from Lost, having a good time, getting into
Who's
hijinks and all.
Evangeline Lilly?
Yeah, Evangeline Lilly. Yeah.
How do you see the whole superhero movie craze coming to an end, and or even will it end?
It feels like it won't. If so, I think worst case scenario, because we've seen again.
Erica's right. Young Avengers needs to be done.
Oh, Young Avengers is good. I
Supposedly
mean,
that's in the works.
it'll absolutely happen eventually because Chris Hemsworth will eventually become an old man. So what I think will happen is because we've seen it with DC where DC will try stuff and then it doesn't work, and then they're like, all right, soft reboot, full reboot, whatever. So I think eventually it'll be like Star Wars, right? Where Star Wars had a bunch of stuff, and then they stopped for a while, and then they come back 10 years later, and then everyone gets re-excited. So I don't think that we're ever going to lose superhero stuff. Maybe there will be a lull where people are like, those movies were bad. But if the movies keep being good, like I don't see, because again, it'll be like an age thing. It's like, oh, maybe I age out, or maybe I don't care as much. But like my kid grew up watching those old movies, and now he's into it now. Like there's characters from movies that the Marvel movies 8 years ago that aren't around anymore. My son doesn't care because he's in there watching, Moon Knight. Like it's fine. He's got new stuff as long as they keep putting new stuff out. No one will care.
Yes. Yeah. They do have already pretty much laid the groundwork for a Young Avenger show. I'm hoping she's probably too old to technically be a Young Avenger, but I hope they do the new Black Widow
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with Kate Bishop as one of them.
Rolling out.
Patriot. He's already been. I think it's Patriot.
Oh, Johnny Walker. Oh, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, his grandson.
Dark Captain America. Oh no, you're talking about
His name's
something else.
Patriot. I'm pretty sure.
We're talking about different things. I was talking about the guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier, the show.
You're talking
The
about the
bad
old
guy.
dude.
No, John Walker.
Oh,
The bad guy.
it's
Wyatt Russell. That's what I'm thinking of.
yeah.
Anyways.
Well, yeah. Well, you know the old dude who had the powers, who has Cap's
Mhm.
powers. His
Yeah.
grandson is in the
Oh yeah,
comics.
yeah,
At least
yeah.
is
That's
Patriot.
right. That's right. That's right. The black kid. The
And
young
then you
black kid.
have Wanda's two sons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing Ironheart soon. So I would think
Oh, I love Riri. That'll be awesome.
I'm curious to see how that is. I'm
Yeah,
really excited for She-Hulk though. I don't know why, but I'm very excited about the big green lawyer.
They're just giving us Ally McBeal with a big green lady, and I'm all about it. I'm not gonna be mad about any of that.
All right. Is there anything particularly close to your nerdy heart that we have not touched upon tonight that you would like to get out there before we wrap this all up?
Oh, I don't know. We talked about all the stuff. We answered some of the questions. Jake asked another question, like, "What's the thing you're super specialized in?" I am super specialized in all the lore of Assassin's Creed. I know all of it, all that stuff in the background. When you come out the animus for 10 seconds, I know everything. It's stupid. Whatever.
I'm gonna have to pick your brain on that because I skipped that shit. I have no interest. Like, what's going on? Aliens and this? Not. Let me go back in there. Let me be Cassandra. Let me be
Yeah.
seducing those old ladies for the like 3-day marathon sex sessions that happen,
Mhm.
and then the husband pays you money after. I'm like, am I a prostitute? Am I just like, thanking me for a
Man,
good performance?
you have to pay attention to the precursor races and the Izu and all of those. That's very important, Mike. It's very important.
Is it?
Well, it's there.
I'm like, I jumped in at Origins,
Mhm.
doing Odyssey, and then Valhalla's next.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, Erica's talking about the early stuff where, yeah, like 1 through 3 was about Desmond, and it was like precursor races, and that game literally led up to like, remember when everyone scared about 2012 being the end of the world, and that game came out before that and was referencing 2012 ending the world. Mike, it's a lot. We can talk about it. It's a
Is
lot.
that the Mayan
But
calendar one?
yeah, yeah. That when they made like 18 movies about their world ending in 2012, and then now it's 10 years later, so here we are. But yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff. I like all the stuff. I know too much about stuff that doesn't matter, is what I'll say.
Useless knowledge is never useless, my friend.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power.
Here we go. The more you know.
The more you know. All right. With that, we'll wrap up this first inaugural session of Nerd Out with Mike. Adam, thank you very much for nerding out with me tonight.
Thank
It
you
has
for having me.
been quite the pleasure, and you know, I hope to do this more often. And if you're interested on being on this show, just let me know. Reach out to at Misfit Rolls on Twitter and pretty much every other social media. Speaking of social media, Adam, if they wanted to follow you, where would they go?
Follow me on Twitter at Adam Gumby, where I will just tweet about Misfit Rolls and Respawn Aim Fire, which is a video game podcast that I do currently, and then E.C.G. Are the 3 things that I do. But follow me on Twitter at Adam Gumby. I'll talk about Erica and make fun of her just because she's here in chat. That's it.
All right. And with that, thank you for joining us. Make sure to check out everything on the Isle of Misfit Rolls network, from our D&D actual play podcast and live streams to our Misfit plays featuring the Birdman himself, Jake. Not Tony Hawk, but Tony Hawk. If you want to do a stream with the other Birdman, hook us up.
How wild.
And you might even see some more Nerd Out episodes. So till then, have yourself one hell of a good night. Goodbye, folks. My mouse is turned off. We're so good at ending streams.